And if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, it doesn't cost you a goddamn cent. You get a free Twitch follow with that Amazon Prime subscription. So do it. Follow him. Go to Chad's Twitch page, Twitch handle at HD Fatty, and find out all the information right there. And that's it. Merry fucking Christmas.
Yeah,
hey, Eriksson's here.
Hi guys. Merry Christmas.
I don't have any video for Eriksson. What's going on?
I do.
I'm here. That's just you then.
It's probably my
suffer through it.
As usual.
Fucking
Eriksson. Eriksson, just so you know, like when you step away and you leave your microphone hot like that, your phone, the gain goes way up, so we can hear you guys talking, even if you're like talking low, which I know how to, but it is one of those things where we can hear everything. So the shaker, the ice clinking.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's.
Don't be the next Don't be the next Becker, where we're like just all of a sudden hear horrific things said about us. We're like, hey man, I'm just trying to relax and enjoy my Christmas party, and this guy's calling me a cunt.
Yeah. I'm trying to make a Bloody Mary. I'm like, just hang on, Mitchell. I know we got to go walk the dogs, but I got to go talk to these three fucking Nazis for an hour.
What a drag. All right. No, I would like to learn more about the Jehovah's Witness religion, but these sinners are wanting to talk about bullshit. It ain't going to get me into heaven, I'll tell you. It ain't going to get any of us into heaven, but I got to go waste my time. Hey, have you seen Shaylee? I don't know if we're recording yet, but Dave Crowe has a button picture he posts on Facebook. Him, Kelly Moran, Mitch Hedberg, and Floyd Phillips at the Saturday Market in Portland years ago, and they did a picture that they had on a button, and they all wore the button for the whole week. But it's kind of a cool photo. 3 dead guys and Dave Crowe.
3 deads and a David.
Is that the caption you left?
3 funnier guys.
Yeah.
I was wondering why he didn't get top billing over 3 dead guys. Dave Crowe and 3 dead guys. You think? I mean, they're not even there to argue with you.
Yeah. Your caption should be, David, you're finally the funniest guy in the picture.
Oh, come on.
David Crowe is very funny. Just ask Brian Hennigan. Brian Hennigan fucking loves David Crowe so much. It's fucking stupid. David Crowe's great.
David Crowe, I booked him in Coots years ago when I was still booking Coots, the comedy. And he was definitely one of the guys where I'm like, all right, we're testing the high level of the room.
Yeah.
This isn't dick jokes and
Well, did Jaylee freeze or did he just forget?
Hey, all right. Okay. I got a little blotter of acid. I was thinking of just, tongue.
Do it, dude. Christmas. It's Christmas.
Andy, I have one too.
Yeah. Yeah.
The acid show, the Christmas acid show.
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
11 hours I got to be away from this house.
Oh, shit. You really did? Fuck, I was bluffing.
I leave it on the tongue, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It sounds like he's been drinking for an hour already.
Well, at this point, it might open.
You should have said that before you said you'd do it.
I'm just trying to open the dialogue around here.
Well, you've done it.
Well,
you've opened a portal.
Fuck. All right, let me go get a piece. I'll be right back.
Oh shit, you guys are serious, man. I gotta work today. Even though it's definitely Christmas. It's definitely Christmas when we're recording this.
Hey, Eriksson, I'm thinking about eating another.
I keep losing you, Shaylee. Maybe it's just me.
I know.
I keep losing you. I didn't hear what you said. I don't know if it's your internet or mine. But...
I'm thinking about eating another slice of Spam.
Yeah, well, might have the same effect.
Gastro enlightenment is, you'll open a third eye, but I have a feeling it's an existing eye.
You'll open a third eye, but it'll be in your asshole.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Hey, up his asshole. This holiday, this is no way to talk on the holidays.
Cheers, Andy.
Yeah. Is that brick? Is that from, oh, man. No. Oh, okay.
No, this is just a little paper one. All right.
I think I'm in it.
You guys.
Well, this is probably not a good situation. I mean, it is Christmas and all.
It is Christmas. And you guys know that, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I've started a new thing where every week now I'm going to wear a t-shirt, a comedian's t-shirt. And last week I was wearing the Sam Tripoli tinfoil hat, the Unabomber was right t-shirt. And this week it's a little Mikey Nacy special. I don't know if you can see the Brandejo.
So, I could for a second.
Yeah, there you go.
Brandejo.
I'm just glad you changed shirts.
What do you mean? Had this shirt on all day.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I hope I'm coming through. This is my last day in Hawaii, and after last week, right after last week's podcast, Tracy and I went to the zoo and then to the Ala Moana Mall. But I don't have time to talk about it this week, but next week I will.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I think with an adventure like that, I think you need like a week's time to process all of the emotions and all of the things that are involved in a trip to the mall. So I look forward with bated breath to hearing about it on next week's podcast in the new year.
The impeachment's really getting ugly, right? It's like, whoa, I thought last week was bad, but this week, holy shit. Oh, man. Hey, I think the framers of the Constitution had it right by putting the Constitution on hemp paper. But what they got wrong was not just admiring their show and smoking that shit and moving on. Because that shit don't work. That shit don't work at all. You fucking guys.
We had a good run.
Yeah. The framers of the Constitution, they laid down the law and then they went home and raped them slaves. And and they kind of marveled at their genius, man. We can really put down the written word, can't we? Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense. I mean, if you have set up a society for yourself in which you get to have slaves, you probably do feel like you know something about how shit should work, you know?
Yeah, I'll put together an electoral college if I got 5 black girls around here who want to have sex with me, or not even one who they're obligated to by some sort of a working arrangement. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'll be more prolific at writing. Fuck yeah. Get me some hemp notebooks. Kunta, write this down. Hey, Kunta.
Oh, shit.
That's like Andy, one too far.
Yep.
Hey, man, I would have called them. I wouldn't have had any slaves. I would have had slaves for a week, and then I would have lost them, just like a cell phone or any other possessions I've had. I could not have held slaves any more than I could have a phone. Hey, you guys,
an interesting experiment.
Where did he go? Oh no, he's walking off. Just sort of he walked off as a. Huh.
I still don't have video for Eriksson.
Well, he didn't walk off then. He's still sitting there. In fact. Fuck you, Eriksson, sitting there. All right. Well, I thought if we were doing back to back, wouldn't it work out like the first one was the dress rehearsal, and now the wheels are coming off on the main show. Where's Eriksson?
I'm pretty sure that your wheels are coming off.
Oh.
So check this out. So like the place we're staying at this week, we stayed at a place over by where the show was 2 weeks ago, where with Stanhope show Blue Note in Waikiki, and now we're on the other end. I think more where you were, Andy, where you saw Crazy Shirts and the hooker and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we go to this place and we're staying in an Airbnb type thing, a VRBO, right? And we walk in the lobby and I'm like, fuck, man, I used to work here. I used to work. I totally forgot. I used to work at this hotel back in the day. I worked like midnight to like 6 a.m. Delivering on a moped in Waikiki, delivering to the strip clubs and the hookers and stuff, like banana splits, milkshakes, and grilled cheese sandwiches.
And you quit that job? Why?
That was such a plum job. I lived across Alamoana Boulevard from here, and I'm like, fuck, man. So I walked down. It was like a little cafe that was open like 24 hours. I remember a couple things. Number one, I didn't know how to make coffees or anything, and the guy really didn't care because the people that were here were all tourists. So they just came and bought one horribly made espresso latte, choco mocha, whatever. And they don't come back. It doesn't matter. There's a new person in their apartment next week. Another thing is there's a guy that played ukulele in the corner and never did any work. But he was an employee, and I'm pretty sure his uncle was a cop. And the other thing was just fucking go and come back, because it is fucking rough out there with the places we were going, because there's all these strip clubs around here. And it was rough. Little Shaley on his moped at fucking 4 a.m, dropping off girls coming to the front of the FemNu gentlemen's club with a little kimono on. Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. But I went down the hall to go see where that place was. That was 25 years ago. It's a massage parlor now.
I've only met in my life probably a handful of gentlemen. Right? Like total, like fucking,
I thought there was going to be more to that for a second.
Yeah, like about a dozen. But I've been to a lot of gentlemen's clubs with just a bunch of fucking assholes with ball caps and shit. But I'm still waiting for that influx of gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm
You
sure
go
the
into a
late-
gentleman's club, and there's almost never a guy with a top hat and a cane.
Right, yeah. I think gentleman was always a myth. like superheroes or Jesus. Like, oh, there's gentlemen, and there's also leprechauns. Sure.
Yeah. You
Wait
gotta
around.
believe.
Yeah. You're more likely to have a leprechaun hold open a door for you if you're fat. I'm just saying. Please don't wait forever.
I think just from a marketing standpoint, Gentleman's Club looks better on the sign than Horny Dudes Club.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Welcome to Skeezies.
Yeah.
Behind the Dumpster Bro Club. All right. Yeah. So this is a nod to that person in Orlando. Thank you.
Oh, Chris. You finally went through your luggage, Andy.
Yep.
I've acquired such a variety over the years that I don't even know who to thank anymore. And two of these in here look exactly the same, but I know from experience that one of them is LSD and one of them is 2CB. And I got to just be prepared for either one of those days before I eat one of those.
Yeah. I think what you do in that situation is you wait until you're ready to trip, and you just take them both.
Oh, shit.
Right?
I can't even imagine that.
Well, CBD, that's
no,
not that big of a deal.
No, not CBD, 2CB.
Oh, what's that mean? I don't even know what that means.
I didn't know what it was either. It's
CBD.
It's like an acid molly. It's way more intense than acid.
Yeah, do not do what I suggested. I thought you said one was CBD, and like that's nothing. Don't worry about it. Just
no. So yeah, it's a whole big thing because we podcasted about this one time, and I accidentally ate the 2CB when I thought I was eating LSD, and the name of that podcast was Naked on the Porch with the Boner.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
So I have to be prepared for that kind of a day, and I just haven't been. Ever since that happened, you know?
You ever eat ass you ever eat ass when you think you're eating pussy? That's terrible. You're like, oh no. What happened here? What happened here? Somebody better get to a doctor. Oh wait, no. I'm tripping.
And this pussy tastes like balls.
As long as it's clean, it's all right there together. I don't fucking pay attention.
They're neighbors.
Yeah, you were gonna eat it all anyway. It's like mixing your food up on the plate, you know. You were gonna eat it all anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's like mixing the dog. It's like mixing the moist. It's like mixing the moist and the dry with the dog and such. You know.
It's a gravy. We call it gravy train.
If it were just all the dry food, your dog wouldn't eat it. But if you put a little moist up on there, booyah! It's a feast. It's a stew, yo.
Get
it? I like acid drunk Andy.
Yeah, I kind of. It makes up for a lot of unhappiness.
Okay.
I don't know. Not everything's a gem. Not every gem's a stone.
I'm trying to.
I think every gem's a stone.
I think you're right.
But not every stone is a gem, yo.
He's getting philosophical already.
No, this Christmas party, you know.
Yeah.
We should have timed this differently.
Excuse me.
That's Sennheiser's working nice. That sounded great.
Yeah.
I had nice
German engineering right there.
I had some nice low end.
And then people want to just listen to this podcast. Like you have to see that burp. You have to see that burp.
See the way it just snuck out.
You had to see the way his beard reverberated.
Yeah, right now I know that you're the one who can see the burp.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays.
Yeah. Get it, buddy.
Hey, it's that dentist from that Rudolph show.
Timmy?
No, it's that. Yes, who wants to be the dentist? No, wasn't it? I don't know.
Timmy.
Man. Yeah.
His name was Timmy.
Yeah. What was it?
He was the only elf. There was something going on there because he was the only elf up in Santa's toy making shop that had hair. All the other elves who were happy being little toy making slaves for Santa were bald, and then that guy wanted to do something else with his life. He wanted to be a dentist, but he had a full head of wavy blonde hair, which seemed like maybe there was something else going on already.
Well, he could never satisfy his boss, of course, or whatever. That guy was a fucking asshole. But I think they should just recut that whole thing and put cool music to it. Like, when you were talking about that, I was thinking Rush, Free Will. Like, he wants to be a dentist and he's up against it, man. It's just maybe make that thing a rock and roll documentary sort of thing, because that guy's whole journey is just.
This is the downside of LSD, America. This is what happens. Sometimes not all your ideas on acid are great. That's not a great idea.
No, I think if you hear that guy is wanting to be a dentist spiel and you fade it into Rush's Free Will.
Yeah, no, we heard what you said. I'm just telling you that's not a fantastic idea.
No.
I think it should be. I picture it with Red Barchetta. A little bit better.
Yeah. Well, it can be a whole musical. We make the whole thing 2112. You know, 2112 was like 8 years ago. You know, or whatever. I'm not good with the math.
Right? Yeah, clearly.
Anyway.
Do you guys actually watch Christmas movies? Does anybody have Christmas movies that they watch?
I watch
at
Bad
all?
Santa, and that's it.
That's it. Bad Santa. You watch
Yeah.
Bad Santa and Christmas Story every year.
It's a Wonderful
back to
Life.
back.
That's the only. It's a Wonderful Life
Never
and
do
Bad
that
Santa.
Wow.
Bad Santa is truly not only one of the best Christmas movies, it's one of the best movies of all time. It makes me fucking gut laugh every single time I watch it. I fucking cannot get past how good it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I just watched it a couple of days ago. Whenever they start popping up in all of the things, I'll start watching them. But I watch like a National Lampoon, the Chevy Chase one. I like that
That's
one.
a good one.
That's
a good.
My new favorite one is A Christmas Horror Story. I don't know if you guys have seen
that's
that
good.
one, but that one is fantastic. It's like a anthology, I think they call it, 3 or 4 different stories all wrapped up into one. It's got William Shatner in it in the beginning as like the narrator type guy.
I like
Check that out.
I like the beginning of Scrooged, where it's the Lee Majors up against, bloody coup against Santa. I wish that was the movie.
Scrooged is the other one that I like.
It's pretty good.
But my DVD that I have of Scrooged, it stops while he's still an asshole, and it makes it a lot more relatable for me. So I like it. It freezes
That's
up
like
before he discovers how to be nice.
That's like Stanhope's version of a good rock and roll autobiography. Remember, he's like, "Oh, these always suck," because by the end they always clean up their act, and it's like, "Oh, I'm sober now, and everything's great." He's like, "Fuck this."
Yeah. The first time it did it, I was all pissed off. I was like, "Oh, what? Oh no, actually, I like the end right there. That's good."
Hey, Eriksson, our fact department has come back to me with the voice. The voiceover actor was Paul Solis, who voiced Hermie, who's the elf who dreams of pursuing a career in dentistry.
See, I was close. Timmy. Maybe I always thought it was Timmy. They say Hermie.
Timmy. Yeah, Timmy.
Yeah, I watch It's a Wonderful Life because it's one of the best movies ever made, and it's one of the 2 times I ever saw my dad cry was always during that movie because of the reprieve at the end where it's never too late and all that. And it's
heartwarming.
It's a good touchstone since basically my whole family's dead except my brother and sister. So.
One of probably the only time I ever saw my dad cry was watching the Three Stooges.
What? You and Larry and John?
Yeah, no. It's just, no. My dad really liked the Stooges. He really liked the Stooges a lot, and he found them very funny. And I tried to, and I appreciate. But I guess being at the brunt end of a lot of violence, I wasn't I didn't laugh it off like, oh, they're not hurting Curly. But my dad laughed, and he would cry. My dad would laugh so hard at even episodes with Shemp, and he would cry tears. But he never said he loved his kids or hugged us or anything. But he would cry like a baby watching the Three Stooges, and I was like, man, I always wanted to be as funny as Shemp, and I'm still working towards it. But woo! I guess it's over.
Shemp was what you shot for?
Shemp was Curly with well, no, wait, I'm tripping here. I'm getting all right, hang on.
Andy saw the Stooges as more of a documentary.
Yeah. It wasn't funny though. I mean, they found themselves in awkward situations.
The Three Stooges, like Andy would look at the Brady Bunch, and that would be his dream family. The Three Stooges was Andy's dad's dream family.
Absolutely.
Well, eventually, a lot of that shit played itself out at my house. Like some of that weird shit that the Three Stooges did with wiring is what my brother Larry did in the late '80s. He
for
had
a living.
Yeah, cable splicing became his game. You know? There wasn't a lot of money to be had in the cable splicing, but a lot of money to be saved. I'll tell you.
Hey, money saved is money earned.
Yeah, he would chip out a window and bring the cable up through there like a fucking Einstein, you know, like a Picasso working the fucking cable game.
Not like Einstein, a smart guy, like a guy going, "What are you fucking doing, you fucking Einstein?"
Basically, like the guy who made the bagels. The bagel
Flour,
guy.
dough, and egg.
There's my. I've discovered where my beer is.
Yeah. I like that for a static shot. You cannot leave your camera alone.
I just assumed his laptop, which is now further away from his microphone.
Oh.
I love that his laptop is on a lazy Susan because he keeps spinning it. It's like he tied it to the third button on his shirt. So every time he turns, it goes with him.
That's sexist. She's an inactive Susan.
Don't fat shame Susan.
Disabled Susan.
Susan's had a couple of setbacks.
Susan, get on the mic.
Susan ain't the same. Susan ain't the same as we knew her as. You know.
At some point, we're just gonna have to figure this out. Where, like, I don't understand why, whatever it is the computer is on, there ought to be enough room on that thing for the microphone to also be there. It would be very convenient if the microphone
when Andy yells at the camera, that would work.
When I worked, this is what happened. When I worked at a tire place, they asked me to jack up the car, and I did that. And I put 2 jacks under the car, and it tipped over. I don't know how this has anything to do with this 3-prong microphone, but 3. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking about dangling it, but I don't know.
No.
Like
it's
above?
awkward. Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's I do have it zip tied to the Christmas decorations, in hopes that somehow
that's why he's not moving it. That's why he's not. That's why we're not getting this thing and then this and this.
Yeah.
That's why we're not getting this.
Right. Well, I have to move.
There's time.
These are basically the Christmas decorations of the Misfit toys. These are left out of the new plan. I feel like,
nobody wants a Charlie in the box.
This is Christmas. Yeah. This is basically the squirt gun that shoots jelly right here.
If you take your pants off right now, we're probably getting kicked off YouTube.
You know that squirt gun. That squirt gun was a perfectly working squirt gun. It just got sent to the home of possibly a tweaker or maybe a Down syndrome baby that filled that squirt gun with jelly. It wasn't a reject. It just needed somebody to rinse it out.
Yeah, that's called R&D.
I believe
that might have been the new pet rock.
Yeah.
I got a jelly squirter. Hey Andy, if you saw a sign at a gentleman's club that said "Inside performing right now," a jelly squirter, wouldn't you go in?
Yeah, well, if it was a pretty reasonable cover, yeah, I would.
I thought he said chili, and I like a squirt gun full of chili a lot better than jelly. That sounds awesome.
It's whatever you want it to be, though. That's the thing. That's why
that's
that
red water balloons at me.
I feel like that squirt gun was reassigned. He was like a fucking, reassigned. Like Homeland Security rounded up that squirt gun and deemed it not a good squirt gun because it had jelly in it. Where if they would have just left it alone, it could have got rinsed out and gone about its life.
So you're saying the jelly squirter could get on the plane?
Yeah.
They deemed it ineffective.
The one time, I didn't do it myself, but maybe Brendan, that shirt guy, and that shirt on Eriksson knows something about when the guy who used to wear the devil outfit was in Chicago. Me and Brendito put a fake gun in his luggage so he would go through airport. But it was like the jelly gun. We didn't really put a gun in there. That would be rude.
You mean you couldn't find a real gun?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're keeping the real gun.
Because
we got crimes to commit.
in Chicago, finding a spare gun in Chicago. I was like, can I borrow your gun? No, man, I'm getting ready to use this shit. And that's, or, hey, excuse me, I'm a white man. I'm getting ready to kill people too. And I'm in Chicago because we all kill. And it's not a racial thing. We just kill people. A lot of violence.
That's called white privilege, when you can make a black guy give you his gun because I'm a white man and I need it for killing.
Andy, wasn't that a trip to Chicago with Brendan Walsh when you guys opened? You and Brendan opened for Doug and the guy who wore the devil mask. Isn't that where you guys talked your way into getting access to the devil masks hotel room? Yeah,
we kept calling up and saying we're calling up and saying we're suicidal. We're just having fun, A lot of people don't know this, but it was an organized crime town, and the coke still flows freely sometimes in Chicago, and sometimes with a couple of pranksters, cocaine, late hours, a lot of stress on the job. So we were pranking.
Opening for Doug is it's so stressful.
That was the longest show in the history of show business. It was like if Martin and Lewis got a hold of crack. Because that show just got
at one point to stop the show had to stop, and Doug was on stage in a trash can, like his ass went in the can and his arms and legs were sticking out of the trash can. Yeah, and he was just Andy was pissing into a trash can that had the American flag in it.
Well, the whole audience was pissing into a bucket.
And the only way to get Doug to close the show, because he could not get out of the trash can because he was caught in there, I snuck up behind him on stage and really low just slid the can out behind the curtain, and then it was done. As long as Doug's off the stage, they'll start leaving.
There was like Doug let the whole audience sit up there, or there was like a bunch of people, like 30 people sitting on the stage.
And then Norm had to do his set sitting in the front row.
Yeah, and there was a piss bucket. I don't know why there's always piss buckets near me or in stories about me. There was a big piss bucket that was just sitting there, and at some point, just maybe hopes that the show would end, I get frantic. I don't know what it was, but I kicked the bucket. I didn't kick it deliberately to douse this guy with a bunch of piss, but that's what happened. And if that guy's still alive, I doubt it, because of the mixture of urine that hit him that night had to be toxic, and he probably.
That's an interesting and ironic end, because that means that guy's dead because you kicked the bucket. Good night, everybody. I'll show myself out.
Shut it down. Shut it down right there.
That's one of the few times I felt really bad about, just taking an action I didn't even mean to. And I kicked the bucket, and then it spilled piss all over this guy, like 15 people's piss on him. And he goes, why? And it's like, that's a tough question. That's a tough question in most situations. Why did you do that? It's like, but when you just kicked 15 or 16, 30 people's piss all over a guy who was trying to get up, and like, I don't know.
Why?
I guess I've always been a bad kid.
Why is there ever a bucket that 15 or 16 or 30 guys just pissing in? I've never once experienced this. Can you please elaborate?
I don't know. It happens around me all the time.
That's where Chad, I was gonna bring this up. Like we always mention that Andy always has little parts of his stories that gets glossed over as he moves on to other parts. And we always have to loop back. And you're like, I don't know why it is, but there's always a piss bucket around me.
That's where that's where the victim statements would go. Well, that's not how I remember it at all. I just got out of day surgery and went to this comedy show.
God damn it.
That driver's manual. That's from another one.
Oh my God.
I got to get out of the house. Can't stay here.
I'll bet you do.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Get it. We'll come up with something.
You've got the next 12 hours to figure it out.
I've just been doing a lot of Irish, it's like it's hard to come up with like, oh, I'm going to go do this. Cause I just like to just go, without saying anything. So I've just been doing more of that.
Just go for walks, dude. Walking is a fun, nice
I don't
thing
even
to do.
go. But I don't announce it.
You have a nice neighborhood. You can walk around there. It's like beautiful. There's trees and mountains and shit.
I'm just here and then I'm not. That's how I like to do it.
Yeah. Fine.
I don't like to put a nationality on it. Or
Irish goodbye.
I
feel like it's more of a Native American goodbye, where I have a few drinks, and then I'm just gone.
Buy liquor for some kids and then leave.
Yeah, and then your wife breaks a treaty with you.
That's what made me laugh so much about the last podcast was the Indian,
last week,
the reference of the Indians and how they were cut off from drinking on the reservation. It's like, man, they should have fought way harder if they would have known. If they would have known one was going to lead to the other, like, not only were we going to have to live on reservations, but we're going to need a reservation to get cocktails. Oh, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. There's no bar rescue here. We're back in, man. Them treaties are off the table.
We used to call it the Trail of Tears whenever they'd run out of money and they would all be walking back to their reservation in a line.
The Trail of Beers.
Yeah.
The only good thing about living on an Indian reservation is I'm guessing they're pretty lenient on Deweys.
We had
too soon.
We had a spot that we would go over and a post called the Line, and it was just a dirt road that was just inside the reservation. And when high school, we'd always go over there and party, and it was one of the preferred spots because if you got busted, it was by the Indian police. And they didn't bust you. They would just take your beer. But they didn't just take your beer. They took your fucking ice chests. So they would just like,
yeah, they did.
Get out of here. You'd be like, oh, what the fuck, man? So you go out to the line. You always took foam ice chests. You didn't take your good ones from camping.
I like that they still, like, Indians have gotten the shaft of everything since the Euro trash showed up and ruined everything. But the Indians can still overfish not even overfish. They just are allowed certain spots on the river to fish like they used to, and they can sell fireworks and also now and then run casinos. But that's it. Pretty much everything else.
It's really ironic. It's really ironic that they're allowed to sell fireworks because that means like they're selling fireworks to help the invaders celebrate the celebration of their starting the country. It's like, that's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think they got sell it year round most places. The casinos are huge over there. Maybe not as big as methamphetamine, but they're huge.
It was big for the Indian culture more so than like what was that 23andMe where people do the thing and more people were coming out as Indians in my hometown. Like we're all white trash. It seemed like, some higher levels of it than others. But as soon as they opened a casino, then all these people started showing up and they were part Indian, like way watered down. You weren't Indian. You're a fucking white dude. And like, I'm 1/8 in, Coquille Indian blood or whatever. It's like, no, man. And then, so like some of my white friends became the, prolific Indians.
My mom's mom was an Indian from Montana, Grovant tribe they call it. So, but she lived here, but she got to go to the hospital out on the San Carlos Apache Indian Reservation. So I got to spend a lot of time out there. And you'd go to the hospital, and it was just like a half-built building where there's like windows framed in, but they never put windows in them. So there's just leaves and shit blowing around. There's graffiti and stuff. I was fucking terrified in there, man. It was a weird situation. It's different. Now it's all nice, except for the method. Like they just create these little villages out there with all these nice brand new like track homes, but they're all just super simple, housing that they put in. And
well, they never really got a chance to redesign the teepee.
Well, after a couple of years, they're just trashed out and unlivable. So they just build another one and they just leave them. So there's just like this trail of neighborhoods that are just all methed out. Nobody lives there anymore because they got all busted up. It's a weird place.
Native American culture was right on the technology of yurts. And then it just they got reassigned and everything went to shit. But they were like, man, we should do yurts and maybe travel them around, get horses to move them or whatever.
We introduced whiskey to them, fucked them all up.
Yeah, I know. They were fucking spiritual, smoking a little hemp and enjoying nature and jerking off in nature and not overbreeding. And then what do? We fucking kill a lot of them, introduce whiskey into the culture. And
Jesus.
And
don't forget Jesus. That was a very important part of what we did to him.
Yeah. No, that Jesus led to the meth.
When I finally went to community college after I got out of the Army, I got to learn a little bit about Native American history and stuff, which would have been nice growing up next to the thing if they would have given me some. Because like I learned like Apache is the Navajo word for enemy.
Really?
And while all of the other Native American tribes were known for, farming and hunting and all of these things, Apaches were only known for raiding. They would just wait until the other tribes got some shit and they went over and take it away. And it was interesting because I had a lot of run-ins with Apaches. I went to school with dudes from Apaches and all. They'd be like your friend, and then all of a sudden they'd just kick your ass and steal your stuff. You're like, whoa, what happened?
It's all friendly till they come riding up on you on a horse.
Yeah.
Swinging a tomahawk.
And all of a sudden there's 34 of them. Holy shit, where did you guys all come from? Like they just pop up out of the bushes. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I feel like if Indians would have just had better PR people and better lawyers, like from the beginning, it might not have happened.
Indian
to them.
lawyers?
Well,
Hey, lawyer. Yeah. They needed fucking. Oh man, yeah.
They needed better guns. First of all, that's what they needed.
Yeah. Well, sure.
Well,
less
trust. Yes, that's what I was.
Right. I know it's like Indians were like puppies that just go up to a stranger, and until that stranger kicks it really hard, that puppy's just a fucking dumb puppy who doesn't know any better. That's what we did. Anyway, I'm proud of my culture. I'm a white man. I'm in white denial. A lot of people are proud about being white. I couldn't. That's why I think I'd like to denounce it or whatever. Is there a place? I think I'm more Danish or Euro or something.
No, there is. It's 4chan.
Yeah. I would think the first logical step is to find out what you are before you denounce it. You're just making guesses and you already wanted to denounce it.
Andy's being distracted right now by something on his left. I don't know what's going on. In this world?
A little bit of cult movement.
Are they putting on tracksuits and purple sneakers?
Hopefully, because
the comment's almost here.
That signals some sort of resolution. I knew your resolution is some resolution.
Yeah, finally you're in Act 3.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think I should, Mike. I think I'm dosing the wrong person around here.
That could be.
That gets into religious arguments, and we're trying to honor the Native American Indians here. I hope they get in the playoffs.
Playoffs?
There we go. Huh?
I know, right? Merry Christmas, gentlemen.
Yeah, I think anymore the holidays are like I'm just gonna fake. I mean, maybe I did. I don't know. Did you guys? I'm gonna fake it this year and make it work.
I've been saying that. It hasn't been working, though. I usually don't make it through the end of one day.
That's been my life philosophy for 52 years, and look at me. I'm fucking here.
I'm not heartless.
I got me.
I'm not heartless. I got people's socks, but I don't mean it this year.
Oh, you mean like Christmas shopping, Andy?
I don't mean any of it. Yeah, I did. I mean, I went to the things and charged a few things. Well,
yeah.
Andy's kind of a shopper. He's like a clothes horse and a shopper.
I guess I'm more aware of how much it sucks this year.
Finally, you catch up. It's been sucking like this forever, dude.
I'm not like all of a sudden the blinders are ripped off. I was crying watching a Tim Allen movie or whatever. But yeah,
he's the real Santa Claus.
I'm afraid if I watch It's a Wonderful Life, I'll just be all sad when Clarence saves him. Now, like, man, let him alone. He's gonna
let him go.
He's gonna get a Dewey. He's gonna get a Dewey.
He turns it off after he jumps in the water.
You know.
Oh, that's it.
You know why they never made a part 2? Is because all those people that showed up to help him, they now had resentment towards him that he owed them a favor back, and the rest of his life is spent in misery trying to deal with all these fucking cunts that he owes, and he feels like a piece of shit because he's in debt to these people.
That's where you get it wrong.
That's
they are paying. He did so much in the beginning that they're paying him back there. They're even. Now they don't even have to look at each other in the street.
What sort of people do you know?
I feel like he would have been way happier to leave with that whore and go up to the falls.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
I think she offered a way out. He wanted to travel. She wanted to travel. He was anchored, had a bunch of kids he didn't want. They played bad music and were ruining his shit.
Yeah.
And she wanted to go, let's just go fuck and party and shit, do some drugs. And he was like, oh, yeah, I really like this. Let's go. And then he got
we should go to the falls, you see.
Yeah, I could do a bunch of shows. I could book them all over.
I think that's a Tribble Run. I think Tribble book.
You know, we'll stay in both motels and we'll eat chicken fried steak and we'll have a life.
It'll be a wonderful life.
It could have been. It could have just been called It's a Life.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, and if you're listening, David Tribble, we're not dissing on you. We're saying it out of respect.
Yeah. In the same way the Washington Redskins football team is named the Redskins out of respect.
Hell yeah, man. My favorite team is Chocolates.
Chad, are you okay? Are you going to make it, buddy?
Killing me with Andy's fucking, it could have been a wonderful life. That's fucking great.
Yeah,
the whole moral of it is that they fucked him over hard.
I think if I were to get a look at it, I would probably go with the water.
Andy, we'd have to change it if we recut it into your version. We couldn't do a Tribble Run. It'd be the Mr. Potter run.
Yeah. Oh, you got a sliding scale, you son of a bitch. What? I got to drive out here to Wichita Falls and butt fuck Idaho, and you're taking $50 of my gas money.
He's doing the George Bailey voice.
Whoa,
you don't even have 2 ears. You have one ear that was erected out of skin.
Wait a minute. I drove up to Wichita Falls and I did the show, but I didn't even get paid till I did the last show of the run in Boise. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. I don't get it.
You try buying sex in Winnemucca with $50, Mr. Potter.
God damn it! So few people will understand this. There are so few people who will understand what we're talking about right now. Just go by. Here's what you do. We mentioned on last week's show. I think was it last week or earlier this show. David Crowe.
What shirt was I wearing?
David Crowe wrote a book. David Crowe wrote a book called "You Might Be on a Tribble Run If," and it was great. And it was great. So if you don't know who David Tribble is, then you're not a failing comic in the Pacific Northwest.
Congratulations.
And a lot of people
Congratulations.
in the early days, because Tribble was kind of a vain guy, he was like a really poor man's Clint Eastwood. If you ever met him, it's like if Clint Eastwood was a real dude and wasn't very cool.
Clint Eastwood is a real dude.
And he's also
well, he was also born with one ear, and this is folklore. He had one ear erected out of skin that was taken from another body part, and a lot of comedians like to speculate at what that body part was. But when you meet him, you can't help but be interested in the ear that doesn't work, that's erected out of other skin. Anyway. Yeah. He made up for that by a lack of ability to listen to comics and a heart of greed. But his runs were known for just like you get a contract with 5 dates on it. 2 of them crossed out, 2 of them blacked out, and those were the ones that tied it together. Otherwise, you're driving 300 miles to some place and then going 400 miles to another place, and then the other gigs are like crossed out.
Yeah.
That's how you end up in Winnemucca, Nevada.
Tuesday night show is in Boise, and Wednesday is in Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, and then that's where you learn to be a long haul truck driver. You know, like comedy.
And he would only pay you you got all your money at the end of the run at the last gig, which is what kept you from bailing halfway through every time. Like,
and he also kind of.
For sure, a bunch of people bailed halfway through, and he's like,
he kind of set up a system
I can't give them money.
He set up a system where the feature was dependent on the headliner to survive. Like, there'd be a headliner who was a piece of shit, fucking suck up, fucking unfunny, but they paid gas money. All of them, Uncle,
That's
everybody.
Uncle Billy in our scenario here.
Yeah, anybody who called themselves Uncle in the comedy circuit, you suck and everybody hates you. You're nobody's uncle. You're a fucking creep and your jokes suck. Uncle Jerry, Uncle Larry, Uncle Tim, Uncle Steve.
Just take a tip from your old Uncle Larry.
You'd get a guy who would pitch in for gas, or he'd buy the gas and then let you know that he was buying the gas.
Though. No, but that's exactly it. Andy, you're exactly right. It was very much a symbiotic relationship because the feature was dependent on the headliner, but the headliner didn't have a driver's license. So he was definitely dependent on the feature to drive you to the gigs. So it worked.
That's how you got to be a headliner, is a one egregious Dewey.
Yeah. The bad news is you've gotten a DUI and you're going to jail. The good news is you're headlining Huntington Falls, Idaho next week.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Mr. Potter. I need to get to Idaho. I don't have a license. If there's just
we'll see how you do without a week's pay there out in the real world.
Well, George, I guess you should have thought of that beforehand. I'm gonna pair you with an Andy Andrist who has a license, and we'll see how it works.
One of the first time I ever talked to David Tribble, I was in Wenatchee, Washington, and I worked the gig the night before with a squirrel named James Inman, and I got a wake-up call the next morning by David Tribble demanding I apologize for whatever I did and saying that I lost him the gig the night before. And I remember being... Yeah, I was part of the problem. Sure. I had a keen ear for sex scandals, and there was one involving a daycare center at the time, and it wasn't on the contract. There was a lot of rules on the contracts about not doing this and that, but this was current events, and I went with it, and it bothered people because a lot of people were implicated in it, and I'm not sure anyone was ever convicted. It was a hot button issue, but I know after I got done, and I was like, this fucking guy, I just met him, this weird fucking, I was like, hey, how you doing? This guy is like, hey, blah. And then he sat at the bar and he pounded a bunch of drinks. And then after I was done, he alienated the audience. They were assholes. Sure. They were a bunch of dicks, and I can't even believe they stuck around. But Inman, if David Tribble, if you have this up to your good ear, it was James Inman what got us fired. James Inman talking about gun rights, and those people in Wenatchee were dealing with a scandal involving kids, and they were not ready to give up their weapons at the moment. But I got called the next morning,
shit.
and Tribble laid into me. So we did Winham or Wenatchee, and then we went to Yakima. So that's where I drove him to Yakima, and I didn't know this guy. He was pretty weird that day, I'm sure, or whatever. And in Yakima, I don't know what happened. The show was probably whatever, lackluster, but we didn't get it. We didn't lose the room. Tribble didn't call me. But the next morning, I had to drive this James Inman squirrel all the way to Salem, Oregon, and he was nowhere to be found. So I could not find James Inman anywhere.
Did you check a tree?
Well, I started driving around because I'm like, fuck this guy.
Nuts.
Well, I drove around, and then I saw this bald guy carrying a bag of groceries, and I drove past him, and then I wait a minute, and I drove back, and I go, James Inman. He goes, yeah, yeah, and then it's like, it's Inman. He just got back from doing laundry. Apparently, what happened that night, and this is what the squirrel told me, is he made love to a fat woman who puked on his clothes, and his wife was a psychic, and she was going to find out. And I guess he was washing the clothes, hoping that would get the psychic energy, or at least the vomit off of his clothes. Apparently, she was a little bit inebriated, because after they made love, she puked on his stuff, and then that's when I met him. And I'm like, I just had I had a baby at this time, and I had to drive back to Eugene, Oregon to get this baby. For whatever reason that was. I had to have my baby, I had to transport my baby, and I had, for 5 minutes, left my baby in the car with James Inman at a mini mart. I ran in to get something, and I realized that was probably the first real egregious mistake, besides not pulling out, I'd made in parenting, is leaving my kid in a car with James Inman. But on the way back from Yakima, that guy drank a 6-pack of Zima, whined the whole time about how his wife was going to find out he cheated on her. She just sucked his dick. He didn't. I didn't know him at all. And then he had to pee every few minutes. And so we've been lifelong friends ever since.
Oh, fuck. I had a great, I have so many Tribble stories, but one that I just remembered that was like, to me, the oddest and weirdest, funniest thing is I was featuring, and the guy that was the headliner, as always, like the feature drives, I was working with this headliner who was, I don't remember his name, but he was blind, completely 100% blind. And so we're driving through fucking Montana or something.
Oh, I see why you're driving.
So yeah, well, that's why he didn't have a license. But we're driving through Montana, and it's fucking, yeah, totally.
He just claimed to be blind.
Yeah. The cop's like, can you walk a straight line? And the guy's like, I don't know, you tell me. So we're driving through Montana, and it's snowing. And it's like not a blizzard, but it's snowing pretty hard. And, the road, we're on the interstate, but it's kind of okay, whatever. And I'm driving along, and I'm probably going 60 miles an hour, but it's Montana where, like, it's interstate, but it's like in between the interstate, that middle space is like really, really wide. And like this, just like gentle sloping down. I'm driving along, and I hit like this patch of glare ice. And I start to like slowly like slide this way, and we go completely sideways, then back sideways the other way, then down into the median, like all the way up through, almost up the other side, then back up onto my side of the road on the shoulder, and we come to a stop, and I look over, and this guy sitting next to me, he's fucking blind. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on. He's just feeling this. Like, oh, this is beautiful. And I'm like, sweat is pouring off of me. Like, I thought we were gonna die. And he's like, I'm like, it's cool. And then I just fucking pulled back into traffic and fucking went on my way. Nothing happened, but it was a lot. But he was like, okay, what was that? I'm like, dude, you don't want to know, dude.
We still have 500 miles to drive. Relax.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, we're not even close to where we're going.
I know. This was probably the most unusual Tribble experience was the drive to Winnemucca. I actually I had to get out and deal with cattle. It's like, on one of those roads. I was like, God damn it! There's a herd of fucking cattle, and there's a couple of bulls up in the herd. And the road is completely blocked, and I got about 3 hours to get there, and I'm running out of time. You didn't have GPS back then. I'm like, it's like one of them is like, how much do I want it, And so yeah, eventually I drove at them, and that broke it up. I didn't care about the car at the time, so I just drove towards the herd. But you don't know that until you do a Tribble Run. That if you want to make the gig, make an aggressive run towards the herd.
They'll usually get out of the way.
Well, sometimes they replace you.
So I went onto the website for the Tribble Run. It's triblerun.net. Two things. Number one, the company is a subsidiary of Entertainment Solutions Incorporated, which I think is them just saying we don't fucking care. But
one good ear was taken.
What they started in '84. In '85, David realized a significant void in booking stand-up comedy into nightclubs of rural Nevada, Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Wyoming, and Colorado. So for the next 12 months, he was devoted to research and analysis with a goal of making one-night comedy stands profitable for nightclubs throughout the West. And never once buying a map.
No, I think I don't know whose joke it was, but Tribble would drive to some place, and then the next day he'd get up and drive till he passed out, and that's where he would. It's like a long-haul trucker tap out.
Shaylee, I don't know if you remember one of the last runs I did with Doug when we did the run with Christine Levine. We went through Colorado and Montana. One of the places we stopped was in Idaho. I don't remember what town it was, but it was the Pepper Mill Lounge or something like that. We played, which was the same venue, Idaho Falls. Idaho Falls. Doug was spitting
glass eye at his face.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. A guy had a glass eye after the show, and he came, and he's like, here. And then, Doug put it in his mouth, and the guy stood a couple feet away from him and opened his eye socket like this. And then Doug tried to carnival game style launch the guy's eyeball into his eye. It didn't work. It seemed like a great idea when it was happening.
You gotta work that out in rehearsal on that kind of a thing.
It seems like you should practice that a couple times.
It's like a Penn and Teller thing.
Do you remember how terrible that hotel was? Like it was like roach infested and like under construction. Do you remember? It was the pool was all piles of concrete. I
sent a picture to Tracy and I said, "Hey, greetings from Beirut." It was just all twisted rebar and concrete. And then the other thing I remember about the room was the rooms were inside like the main structure, and then they had a common hallway that connected the rooms that was inside. But right outside our door, there was a hole in the wall that you could stick your hand through and hand someone some rubble from
it
inside.
Seemed like someone had literally kicked a hole in the wall to it was the size of a softball, and you could see the outside. Like, I'm not sure this is supposed to be here.
There was snow on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason that was all funny was because this was a Tribble gig, and we were like, let's play there. That'll be funny. Good times.
I had Tribble in he was in the audience at the Funny Bone in Boise, Idaho. And I was like, oh shit, I'm like, this guy banned me or whatever from his clubs or whatever. So and it was a fucking Christmas trees. Oh shit. All right. Anyway.
Wait, you got two? You got another tree behind you?
Yeah, man. Well, there's a lot of rejected decorations this year. Anything that have to do with Santa.
His name is Andy.
But anyway, Tribble was in the audience in Boise, Idaho. So, and then I just took it as like, I've already burnt. Yeah, at the Funny Bone. He was friends with Pat Mack, and he was there. And then I got extra drunk. Like I was, it was like I got second show Saturday drunk on a Sunday.
Wait.
Because Tribble was there. I'm like, I wanted to burn a bridge already burnt. He would he banned me from his clubs, and he made it clear in a letter or whatever that I wasn't, didn't need to call him or whatever.
Yeah, but the gig's over on Sunday.
Well, this was that was Sin Night, industry night.
Yeah.
Or Sunday night was so Tribble was there on a Sunday night. So I just spent the whole night talking about there was a super celebrity here, and it's like, alluding that it was Clint Eastwood, but I mentioned the ear thing a couple of times or whatever, and he did pose for a picture, but it was, we're not friends, and I don't think that,
good side.
Yeah, but it was just like, here he is, this guy who, like, you bitch about him on all those runs, like, man, and then I had him in an audience, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking roast this guy. And it was Sunday night, so, I wasn't going to get fired for that one anyway. So I kind of roasted him, and it was fun. It was cathartic, to go, this guy, he mattered, though. It's ruined my life that I burnt that bridge completely.
It turns out he already fired Andy on second show Friday night. It just took him till Sunday to get down there to make sure he didn't go on stage.
He never forgave me for Wenatchee, which was clearly, and I know James Inman listens to this podcast. It was your bullshit that got us fired, that got comedy removed from Wenatchee. It wasn't the sex scandal. It was your gun talk. And then, and I've been fighting that ever since, James Inman has dragged me in. He's not bootstraps. He's the opposite of that. He's dragged me to hell, Inman.
He's dragged you down by your bootstraps?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of the opposite of bootstraps.
I know. Yeah. What would it?
Puller?
Well, you're supposed to be pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So this is, falling down by.
But the thing is like, doesn't somebody have to make boots? So wouldn't bootstraps just already be a fucking, like a fucking heron feeding off an elephant or something?
Well, if I've had boots with straps on them before, and if you're on the ground, how the fuck are you gonna pull yourself up by your bootstraps? You're not gonna. You're just gonna tug on your feet. That's not really gonna help you
move.
Get up.
Well, I'll tell you what it does.
You need to grab someone else's bootstraps.
You can pull yourself into the fetal position by your bootstraps. That works all right.
You never hear about the boot wearer. The boot wearer going, oh man, I had a great situation where I was just walking around and several people clung onto my bootstraps and dragged themselves up my torso until they were standing upright. No, that would be fucking hell. Yeah.
Hey, someone else brought it up, so I just wanted to show you the other day when I was walking on the beach. I took a picture of a heron here in Hawaii.
Is that a blue heron?
It's not a blue heron. I think this is a night heron.
Well, yeah, those are easy. Blue heron, that's the trick you get.
I just can't go anywhere without seeing herons, and Andy had such a problem.
I could literally
take a picture of one.
I could literally take you a picture of a turkey walking by right now.
I love that we can see the microphone literally behind Andy's shoulder as he's talking.
Right. Like he swung his arm, he wouldn't hit the microphone that he's supposed to be talking.
God damn it. Yeah, this studio was put together with very little
David
thought.
Tribble.
Well, I think he spent more time and effort on the decorations than the equipment.
Well, I was gonna try to. Yeah, I guess I didn't quite follow through with that. I think when you drag the blotter, blotter, the sampling.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
I think I think it's kicking in, guys. I think it's kicking in good right now.
I think Dad's feeling good right now.
I've been
Chad
feeling
hasn't
pretty
said
good.
anything for a while.
I've been feeling good. Yeah.
Did you hit the right one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this one was a sure shot. This was the only one I knew for sure.
Okay, good.
Check 1-1. All right, man.
What we should do is end the podcast and then continue the podcast with just Chad and Andy for like just leave it running, you know, just like I'll just Shaylee and I can go about our day, but I'll just leave it recording, see what happens. Could be interesting.
I already texted all those guys I stream with last night and told them, hey, I'm going to be drinking for 2 podcasts. So I'm probably going to want to stream right after that. So I don't have to stop drinking. So now it's just going to be interesting Twitch stream.
Oh, yeah.
Day.
Yeah, it is.
We'll see.
Andy, you have something? It seems like you were asking for the teacher to call on you.
No, I don't even know. I mean, I need an emergency ladder that I need to get out of here without going in.
You don't have one of those ones you throw over the railing?
I've done the jump one time when I had a situation out here.
No jumping, Andy.
It hurts.
Show take your camera and show over the edge, show the fall downs. Let's see how far it is.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Andy, no jumping.
No.
I mean, unless you feel you can make it.
I think you can make it, bro.
You should use the Christmas lights and rappel.
Okay.
Go.
First blood. Rambo, he's up in the situation. Dennehy and them bitches shining down. They shining down on him, man. He jumped into the Doug fir. I don't have a Doug fir, but I got a couple of shrubs, hardy shrubs, and a dogwood that won't give up hope. And a thorn bush.
God damn it. Merry Christmas, everybody. That's our Christmas episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to come spend some time with us, come to Las Vegas and watch the Doug stand-up show at the Plaza on New Year's Eve. That's just 4 days away. But 3 days from now, we'll be at the Dive Bar in Las Vegas on Monday night. Doors are at 8:00. It's a free show. We're going to do this podcast live for you. We're going to live stream it too. So if you can't make it, you can watch it. But we would love to see you there and look at your beautiful faces. Then on Wednesday, we'll be if you're in Vegas, we'll be at Tommy Rocker's. We're going to do the podcast again there. I don't think we're going to live stream it because I think we'll just put that out as our regular podcast that week on Friday. So you'll get to see it eventually. But again, we would love to see you there if you are able. And also, since this is coming out on Friday, this very night, the 27th, tonight, it's tonight. Andy and I are in San Diego at
tonight.
Winston's.
Oh, shit, I got to sober the fuck up. What? Hey, man, somebody's
never going to make it, bro.
Get me a set list.
This is going to be a good show.
I need a set list or some shit.
This is going to be a good show. And so coming up. And then tomorrow night we'll be in Ventura, California doing a show with Jake Gallo and a whole bunch of other funny comedians. So again, all the information is we'll put the links to all those shows in the description. So I hope to see you around somewhere.
Jake Gallo's website. Go to Jake Gallo's website because Andy obviously isn't updating his website. And Eriksson, so surprisingly, you haven't updated yours with new dates. So
I do not. No one updates their website, Shaylee. Only Doug Stanhope still has a website. It's unimportant. You can find out everything you need to know about a comedian on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever fuck social media they do. Your actual website is pointless. No one needs it. It's stupid.
Right,
so
but
don't
I'm looking for your date in Ventura. I can't find it anywhere. So I said go to Jake Gallo because he probably updates.
You know where you should go? If you want to find out, you want to see the Ventura date?
No,
go to any.
You know who used to update their website? Native American Indians. They got.
I was going to say, if you want to see information about the Ventura show, go to any of the Issues with Andy shows from the last few weeks. Very simple to find. Very simple. Just go there.
Oh, is
all
it
the
in there?
information's right there. Of course it
Oh,
is.
good.
Maybe if you watch the show
That's
sometimes,
all you
you
had to
see
say.
that. There it
I
is.
listen to every show. And I laugh like a maniac. Hey, I guess I just forgot from last week when you mentioned it. You didn't say go to the YouTube site because it's in the show notes. Sorry. It was a week ago. I can't remember that far
Are we
back.
Are we up on iTunes yet? Sorry.
He's talking to the tree again. If you
I love
also,
how Andy keeps trying to pepper.
I mean,
Go ahead.
yeah, never mind.
Hey, you guys, go if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can get a free follow to Chad's Twitch where Chad and Deathpool, Joby, and Jason Fury and a whole bunch of people do a bunch of silly shit all the time. You can join them. You can watch that. It's a lot of fun. And if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, it doesn't cost you a goddamn cent. You get a free Twitch follow with that Amazon Prime subscription. So do it. Follow him. Go to Chad's Twitch page, Twitch handle at HD Fatty, and find out all the information right there. And that's it. Merry fucking Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Merry Boxing Day. Like and subscribe.
Happy holidays.
Join us every week, you fucking assholes. Good luck, fellas.
Very all right.
Good luck.
See you, Chad. I love you.
Love you guys. Andy, you dick.
I'm gonna let this roll.
I didn't think Andy was gonna do that. I thought we were just talking shit. Andy fucking eats that, you son of a bitch. Now I'm the asshole if I don't.
Yeah.
Look, he still thinks we're recording. He's not talking into a mic.
Oh my God.
Yeah, keep this going. Keep this going.
Happy holidays.
I think we should put some voiceovers of Shemp.
Yeah.
that guy needed a haircut. You're not funny. Get a haircut, Shemp.
Talking to the Christmas tree.
Yeah, I know. I turned the camera off, so I think I'm halfway there.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you definitely turned the camera off. That's right. You did.
I wonder what he's doing right now.
I can still see you.
No, we didn't turn our cameras off, but you turned yours off. What are you doing, Andy?
Click that thing off up above, the X. I clicked on
Describe that. Describe what you're doing right now. We can't see you.
I had a technical situation. Have you guys ever been in the woods? A lot of my friends.
Hold on, Andy. Andy, hold on. This would be a fun game for the three of us. Andy, yeah. The words "hold on." Does that mean anything to you? Hold on.
Yeah. All right.
It would be very funny for the three of us to try and figure out, just by Andy's voice, where do we think he hid the microphone? Because when he leans forward, it gets louder.
You guys really can't see Andy?
No,
we can't.
It's the trees collapsed and the microphone was zip tied like a unwitting
Didn't we tell you
victim.
2 weeks ago?
Why
not
did
to
you
do that?
zip tie your microphone to the Christmas tree? What was even the idea?
Because it's the fucking holidays, Brett Eriksson. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Okay, so I have an armchair. It's called an arm because it's shaped like an arm. And then I got a microphone which has 3 prongs. And it sits askew.
Tripod.
Every time it sits askew. And then, so if I'd put it maybe to it, attach it to it. Well, the holidays are over, you know.